Macmillan Audio presents Snow in April by Rosamunde Pilcher. Read for you by Lucy Paterson. Chapter 1. Banked in scented steam, and with her hair wound up in a bath cap, Caroline Clibborn lay supine in the bath and listened to the radio. The bathroom was large, as all the rooms in this generous house were large. It had once been a dressing room, but long ago Diana had decided that people neither used nor needed dressing rooms any longer, and she had stripped it naked, and called in plumbers and carpenters, and fitted it out with pink porcelain and a thick white carpet, and hung floor-length chintz curtains at the window. There was a low, glass-topped table for bath salts and magazines and large eggs of pink soap smelling of roses. There were roses, too, on the French bath towels and the bath mat, on which now reposed Caroline's dressing gown, her slippers, the radio, and a book which she had started to read and then abandoned. The radio played a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 went the sighing violins, conjuring up visions of palm courts and gentlemen in white gloves, and elderly ladies sitting on gilt chairs and nodding their heads in time to the pretty tune. She thought, "I'll wear the new trouser suit," and then remembered that one of the gilt buttons had fallen off the jacket and was now, in all probability, lost. It would, of course, be perfectly possible to look for the button, to thread a needle, to sew it on. The operation would take no more than 5 minutes, but it would be far simpler not to. To wear instead the turquoise caftan, or the black velvet midi dress that Hugh said made her look like Alice in Wonderland. The water was growing cold. She turned on the hot tap with her toe, and told herself that at 7:30 she would get out of the bath, get dried, put on a face, and go downstairs. She would be late, but it wouldn't matter. They would all be waiting for her, grouped around the fireplace, Hugh in the velvet dinner jacket that she secretly disliked, and Sean girthed in his scarlet cummerbund. And the Haldanes would be there, Elaine well into her second martini, and Parker with his knowing, suggestive eyes, and the guests of honour, Sean's business associates from Canada, Mr. and Mrs. Grimendall, or some such name. And after a reasonable delay, they would all troop in to dinner, turtle soup and the cassoulet Diana had spent the morning concocting, and a sensational pudding which would probably be brought in flaming, to the accompaniment of oohs and ahs and, "Darling Diana, how do you do it?" The thought of all that food made her feel, as usual, nauseated. It was puzzling. Indigestion was surely the prerogative of the very old, the greedy, or possibly the pregnant, and Caroline at 20 could qualify for none of these. She didn't exactly feel ill, she just never felt well. Perhaps before next Tuesday week, she should go to a doctor. She imagined trying to explain. "I'm going to be married and I feel sick all the time." She saw his smile, paternal and understanding. "Pre-wedding nerves, natural enough, I'll give you a sedative." The waltz faded discreetly out, and the announcer came in with the 7:30 news bulletin. Caroline sighed and sat up, pulled out the plug before she could succumb to the temptation of further basking, and climbed out onto the bath mat. She turned off the radio, dried herself in a cursory fashion, pulled on the dressing gown, and padded through to her bedroom, leaving wet footmarks on the pale white carpet. She sat at her skirted dressing table, pulled off the bath cap, and observed, without enthusiasm, her triply reflected image. Her hair was long and straight and pale as milk, and hung on either side of her face like 2 silk tassels. It was not a pretty face in the accepted sense of the word. The cheekbones were too high, the nose blunt, the mouth wide. She knew that she could look either hideous or beautiful, and only her eyes, wide-set, dark brown and thickly lashed, were consistently remarkable, even now when she was plain with tiredness. She remembered Drennan and something he had once said long ago, holding
Sample complete. Ready to continue?